function has these given zeros, 1 plus I, 5, and root 3. Show how many zeros there are total, or tell me how many there are, and then what are they? So if you have 1 plus I, 1 minus I has to be a 0. If you have root 3, negative root 3 has to be a 0. But just because you have 5 does not mean negative 5 has to be a 0. It's only if you have imaginary complex numbers, okay, or a radical. Why? What's special about those? Yeah?
The complex conjugate rule and the rational root theorem.
Yeah, we have the irrational root theorem and the complex conjugate rule, which tells us that these have to have their conjugates be a 0. Where does that come from? So we talked about this. We even wrote it down in our notes. Why do those have to have buddies and other ones do not? Yeah.
Because they're negative with equal sign there.
And why do they have like the opposites there?
They're related to square roots or whatever.
Yeah, yes, they're related to their square roots. Okay, so there are more than 3 because imaginary roots and square roots, or like Brayden said, irrational roots, always come in pairs. The imaginary and square roots are formed by taking a square root, which means you have a positive and negative answer. Okay, so that's, we do have the complex conjugate theorem, we do have the irrational roots theorem. Okay, if a complex number is a root, so is its conjugate. Okay, and then same thing with the irrational roots theorem. Put that here, irrational root theorem. Okay. So make sure that you are able to explain why they come in pairs. Okay, so you have to know that it's due to that square root and that plus or minus. Okay, and then we are going to write the simplest polynomial function with the zeros that are given in part A. And we're going to talk about the factored form. Okay, we're going to see how this went. All right, and then when you are writing the simplest form, you are going to make sure that you multiply the conjugates together. How are you guys feeling about 10C and 11?
I don't remember ever
That 3.6, day 2. Yeah. Okay, so remember that your factored form, okay, is x minus c. Okay, so for your zeros, if it is a binomial, it goes in brackets. So we have x minus 1 plus I, and then we also have x minus 1 minus I. If you guys did use your notes to help you, did you notice you had one that was almost identical to it? Yeah. I think instead of 1 plus I, it was 2. Okay, so, and then with the roots, it's x minus root 3. And then if you have x minus a negative root 3, it turns into plus. And then if you have a positive 5, again, it's x minus. Okay, so we're going to multiply those two together. And we're going to distribute the negative. Okay, so when you do that, you are going to get x minus 1 minus I. And then distribute this negative. Okay, distribute, x minus 1 plus I. So that's what you're doing, the distribution. Regroup. Okay, once you regroup, now you're going to FOIL. When you FOIL, the first term times the first term is x minus 1 squared. The middle terms cancel out. And then negative I times positive I is negative I squared. What do we plug in for I squared? Yeah. So I y squared is -1. So if I have minus -1, what's that going to turn into? Yes. Okay? Be careful. This means x minus 1 times x minus 1 here. Okay, so when you're FOILing that out, you get x squared minus 2x plus 1, and then because of this, you have another plus 1. So x squared minus 2x plus 2. Alright, now we're going to FOIL these two. X squared minus 3. Root 3 times root 3. This guy just drops down to multiply. And then guess what? You FOIL these two. So x squared times x is x cubed. -5 times x squared minus 3x plus 15. Okay, and now you are going to multiply these two together. So I always take the first one, the x squared, and I distribute. So if I multiply everything by x squared, oopsies. Okay, then you'll have, I have to put my teacher voice on it. If you multiply everything by x squared, then you'll have x to the 5th minus 5, x to the 4th, minus 3 x cubed plus 15 x squared. Alright, and then by -2x would be the next one. And then when you do this, line this up. -2x to the 4th plus 10x cubed plus 6x squared minus 30x. And then the last one is distribute every 2 to everything. So plus 2x cubed minus 10x squared minus 6x plus 30. And then you're just going to add straight down. So x to the 5th minus 7x to the 4th plus 9x cubed plus 11x squared minus 36x plus 30. And then have p of x equals or f of x equals or y equals, just something. Okay, how do we do on that one? Good? Hey. Okay, I'm going to show you the last one. So the last one is almost exactly the same. If you didn't get it right, I do recommend that you write down your p of x, and that would be something I would practice. Again, that was 3.6 day 2, so if you want to go back and look at anything, you can. So if 2i is a root, -2i has to be a root. Okay, and then, so I have x plus 2i, x minus 2i. That factors to x squared minus 4i squared. Okay, and then x minus 1 I just put here. And then the roots, the 1 minus root 2 is x minus 1 plus root 2 and x minus 1 minus root 2. It doesn't matter what order you do them in. I just put that first because I had written it above. And then you do the same step. Distribute the negative, and then regroup. And then once you regroup, you're going to FOIL. X minus 1 times x minus 1. Okay, and then once you FOIL that out, combine your like terms. And then the last step, after you multiply x squared plus 4 times x minus 1, you got to distribute. I chose to distribute the 3 to the 4, but I know some of you did it the other way. You should get the same final answer there. So your final answer is f of x equals, or p of x equals, x to the 5th minus 3x to the 4th plus 5x cubed minus 11x squared plus 4x plus 4. Okay, so if that's something that you know that you're struggling with, you can write an example. That may take up a lot of your note cards, so maybe just know if you're having trouble with the setup or the second staff, you have something like that written out.